Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. I am WorldEdit and I have a new LED related project. I don't know if you have seen any videos from the channel Braille Skateboarding. They are really entertaining and I especially like the segment where that's called You Make It, We Skate It, where people send in crazy contraptions and the guys from Braille just slap wheels on them and skate around on them. So today I'm gonna start building my own contribution. So I went ahead and bought the cheapest skateboard deck I could find on Amazon, and it has these blue layers which I really like, and then I also have some LEDs that I'm gonna slap on this thing. And I already went ahead and marked out here on the back where these LEDs should go, but we're also gonna have some on the front. And I also got a router tool for my Dremel, and I'm gonna make a groove here in the skateboard, and then I'm gonna put the LEDs in. And you can see these LEDs are very slim. It's the smallest LED strips I could find. And I'm gonna put them in the groove, seal it up, and then wire everything up to a battery and see if these guys like it. And then I'm gonna have a battery compartment here on the top, and I hope it's not gonna get too much in the way of things, but they seem to always put stuff that gets in the way right in the middle of the board. So I don't have any idea about skateboarding, but that seems to be a good idea. Alright, let's get to work. So this is gonna be my first attempt at post commentary, and this is a very noisy, dusty and also a bit smoky process. So I'm doing this outside and I'm wearing proper ear and eye protection. And I first tried to clamp a piece of wood onto the board and use it as a guide for the router cup, but this didn't work too well because the router bit wants to wander quite a lot. It is spinning and it is removing material sideways, and also the wood has grains in it and it just wants to wander. And guided or not, I made the grooves here very crooked. So yeah, I'm not the best craftsman here. So here you can see my little wooden tool to mark out where the grooves need to be, and it isn't visibly too well, especially on the blue. So I ended up scratching it with a screwdriver to make it more visible. And here you can see me marking out where the wires go from the LEDs outside to the middle where the battery will be. And the grooves here remove a lot of vital material, because in the middle of the board and on the top and bottom of it will be the most stress when you jump on the board. So this might not be a very smart idea in retrospect, but we will see how the board handles the rail guys. So hopefully it doesn't break on the first trick. Okay, now we have everything marked out, we can go at the dremeling again. And this is a very slow and tedious process, and my neighbors probably got pretty fed up with me making a lot of noise on the balcony. But nobody complained, so it's probably fine. Alright, now we have the grooves ready. I want to make a Braille logo on the back here. And I just printed out a template and now I'm taping it there so I can use it as a guide for drilling. Alright, let's break out the drill and get all these holes done. I'm using a 3mm bit, so it fits neatly, so the LEDs fit neatly inside. And some of the holes were right in the groove for the wires, so I had to drill a bit sideways to get it right where I wanted it. And it's still not very good, but it will do. And now I'm just making the holes wider on the bottom, so I have these big dots like on the Braille logo. Okay, here I have the LED strips, and even though they are 3mm and the router bit is 3.2, they still don't fit very good in the grooves. And I'm just cutting along the side of them where there is no connections and making them a little bit slimmer. Another slow and tedious process, as is a common factor in all of my projects. Now I'm removing the foil from the glue here on the back of the LEDs, and I'm putting them inside. This is a rather fun part because you see a lot of progress. And it's quite easy doing this on the straight parts, but around the curves it's a bit tricky to get it in and lay flat. But it's pretty malleable, so it's fine. And it's also noteworthy that I am connecting the negative wire on one side of the board and the positive wire on the other side. And that way the current has an equal length of wire to every LED. And this means that the board will be the same brightness all the way around. If you only connect it on one side, then you might see it dimming or to the other side. And it also means I have only one wire on each side. So of course after each step we are testing the LEDs and they still work and it looks quite nice. So now we can fill in the grooves, and I'm using hot glue for this, which is not the most awesome of building materials. But I'm using it, and I could have used epoxy or something else, or I even bought silicone and tried it out, but it didn't work too well. And I'm using hot glue mainly because it's very, very flexible, and if you see somebody jumping on a skateboard, then you notice it flexes a lot, and the glue needs to be able to handle it, and I think epoxy would just break off. And I have quite a bit of excess at some points, and I'm carefully cutting that off with a knife with my fingers right in front of the blade. So you might want to be a bit more careful if you do this kind of thing. And now it is the surface of the hot glue is now quite rough from the cutting, and I'm just using a heat gun to melt it a little bit superficially and make everything much smoother. And just have to be careful not to damage the LEDs or make it so hot that it falls apart. But this makes it look a lot better. But if you stick your face right onto the board, it still looks pretty awful. Again, my craftsmanship is not up to par with my LED skills, I'm afraid. Okay, on the back of the board I decided to make everything a bit quicker by the magic of editing and testing it again, and everything works. Though I have to admit this is not the first try, and some of the LEDs on the back did not work. I think it was because I was a bit too rigorous with the hot glue, and I had to cut out and replace some of the sections. But now it all works, and now I'm inserting LEDs for the Braille logo, and I have them hot glued in, and now I have to fiddle them inside a circuit board. And if you want to see how I make circuit boards and put all the resistors and necessary stuff in there, then you can watch the part of my LED tree tutorial that has a very detailed episode on this. So now I'm just fiddling the wires through, again long and tedious, and yeah, in the end it got so annoying that I had to shut off the camera and just rage work on this thing a little bit. Alright, now I've got it all the way down, testing the LEDs of course, and they all still work, even though I put a lot of strain on them. And now, with a generous amount of hot glue, I'm gluing it to the board, because people might jump on this and I don't want it to fall off and rip out the LEDs. And then it's time to solder it up. Just solder the LEDs one by one and snip off the wires. And then I also put a lot of hot glue on the back to protect everything and insulate it. And yeah, but it leaves the LEDs and the wires visible, and I think that looks nice. So now it's time to test if it still works. The moment of truth is coming. And yeah, it works. And you can see these are flickering LEDs, and I'm very, very pleased with how this turned out. So I can fill the holes with hot glue again, and I'm using the cutting and heat gunning method again to make it smooth. So I'm hoping that when they grind the board, it won't rip anything of the hot glue out. So now it's time to apply the grip tape. This is clear grip tape that I bought, so you can see the LEDs through. And now I'm cutting out a space for the circuit board to stick through the grip tape. And I have actually covered my whole kitchen in foil, so I have some experience in gluing foils to wood. And the best method I found is to cover everything in a thin spray of water, and that gives you a lot of working time, and you can get everything flat and get most of the bubbles out. And when the water dries, the glue will stick just as fine as when you applied it dry. And the water will evaporate through the foil, no problem. So remember how I always tell you to test the LEDs at every stage that you do. And of course I did it this time too, and it bit me in the ass later. So the normal method you would do this is with the rake you can see here, but this didn't work out too well because the grip tape just ground away the rake. So I'm just patting it with my fingers and managed to remove a lot of my fingerprints in the process. So yeah, if you want to burgle anything, then this is a good way to remove your fingerprints, but albeit not a very pleasant one. Okay, punch the holes for the hardware to go through, because that's what the skateboard people call screws. And now you can see my problem. I tested the LEDs while it was still a little bit wet, and I think I managed to short circuit some of them, and you can see a pack of 3 here not lighting up at all. And you can also see one LED is gone off, and the other 2 in the pack are a lot brighter. And this is something that really, really annoys me. I got very frustrated. I was close to throwing everything out of the window. Here I'm just cutting the excess grip tape with a knife. It doesn't look pretty, but I think it's okay. When the LEDs are on, you are blinded anyway, so not too big of a deal. And yeah, I could have repaired the LEDs, but that would probably make the board look even worse than like this. And yeah, If you have a bit of OCD, you can see why this bothers me a lot, but this is how it turned out. Okay, this is the first idea I had for a battery holder. It is a case for emergency shut-off switch, but it was really too small. It only had room for AAA batteries and they just don't deliver enough current. You can see here this thing uses 8 watts on full batteries, and even in the few seconds you see here it drops quite a bit. So this is not a viable option. It only gives you about 2 or 3 minutes on full power. So I ended up using a food container to make room for AA batteries. I'm just making some holes to attach the thing, and I drilled into the wire a little bit, but it's still intact, so it's fine. And here's my new battery holder. It's a small food container. Unfortunately, I didn't have a blue one. And these things are very, very sturdy and also very, very cheap, which is an added bonus. And yeah, everything fits neatly inside, and it even has a switch on the side. So you don't have to take it apart to shut it off. And here I'm just marking out where I have to cut a hole for the circuit board to fit through. And that way I can get the lid of the food container flush with the board. I think that will make it a bit more sturdy when people jump on it. And I hope they don't manage to rip out these screws. On the last hole I'm using a little bit bigger screw, because as you can see, the small one didn't catch. But yeah, in the end it turned out quite sturdy. Maybe not repeatedly jumping on it sturdy, but we'll see. It might make for a fun video when the battery flies off in mid-trick. Yeah, you can see this one is loose, so I just took a bigger screw. Just checking that none of the screws stick out of the back, because that would make grinding a bit dangerous. And now it's time to put everything together. Just a final check. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with how this LED board turned out. It's very, very bright. And yeah, on the AA batteries it should last half an hour or maybe an hour even. And now I'm just making some beauty shots, and then I will send it off to the Braille guys, and that'll be it. So, as always, if you found this video entertaining and or helpful, then please like and subscribe. And if you have any further questions, leave them down in the comments. I don't have time for a lot of projects in the moment, because I'm moving soon. But when I'm in my new apartment, I will probably LED the living shit out of it. So yeah, see you then. Bye bye. This is my attempt at looking like a real skater, so I don't have any wheels.